Hi there, I'm Tony Lee, and this is Hot Flasher, your daily menopause podcast that serves up fresh news, research, and wellness tips. I've built a daily news pipeline to find the latest on women's health and menopause research. Allow me to introduce my co-host Nikki, who handles the headlines. Take it away, Nikki.
Thanks, Tony. We've got some fascinating stuff to dig into today. So, I came across this piece in Business Insider about a woman who's 35, doesn't have kids yet, and is actively trying to delay her menopause until she's 60. 25 extra years. I mean, when you first hear that, it sounds almost sci-fi, right? But when you actually think about the reality behind it, it makes complete sense. She's doing what a lot of women are doing now: freezing eggs, looking into ovarian tissue preservation, researching every possible way to extend her reproductive window. And honestly, I get it. We're living longer. We're building careers longer. We're finding partners later. The whole timeline of womanhood has shifted, but our biology hasn't exactly gotten the memo. What really struck me about her story is how methodical she's being about it. This isn't wishful thinking. She's working with fertility specialists. She's researching experimental treatments. She's even looking into something called ovarian tissue transplantation. Basically, you remove and freeze your ovarian tissue when you're younger, then transplant it back later to potentially restore hormone production and fertility. Now, I should be clear, this stuff is still largely experimental. We don't have long-term data on most of these interventions, but the fact that women are even pursuing these options tells you something about how we're rethinking this whole biological timeline, and it raises some interesting questions. If you could delay menopause, would you? Are we trying to outsmart biology, or are we just adapting to the reality of modern life? There's no right answer, but it's definitely something worth thinking about. Speaking of rethinking what we know about menopause, there's some pretty cool new research that just came out using AI to look at how menopause affects different organs. And the findings are kind of surprising. So researchers used artificial intelligence to analyze how menopause impacts aging at the molecular level across different parts of the body. What they found is that menopause doesn't age everything equally. Some organs seem to take a bigger hit than others. The brain, for instance, shows significant molecular changes during menopause, which actually lines up with what a lot of women experience with brain fog and memory issues. But other organs showed different patterns of aging. The research suggests that understanding these differences could help us develop more targeted treatments. What I find interesting about this is that it confirms what many women have been saying all along, that menopause isn't just about hot flashes and irregular periods. It's a whole body transition. When your hormone production shifts that dramatically, it ripples through every system. This AI research is still in the early stages, but it could eventually help doctors understand why some women experience certain symptoms more intensely than others, and why some health issues seem to accelerate after menopause while others don't. It also makes me wonder about personalised menopause treatment. If we can identify which organs are most affected in individual women, maybe we can tailor interventions more precisely. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we could potentially address the specific ways menopause is impacting your particular body. Now, let's talk about something that might be affecting your skin right now. Menopause acne. And before you roll your eyes thinking this is just about teenagers, trust me, this is a real thing that catches a lot of women completely off guard. So apparently, treating menopause acne incorrectly can actually make it worse, which explains why that skincare routine that worked for decades suddenly seems to be sabotaging your face. Here's what dermatologists are saying: menopause acne is different from teenage acne. During perimenopause and menopause, your estrogen levels drop, while androgens, those more male typical hormones, become relatively more dominant. This can trigger oil production and lead to breakouts, but the skin itself is also aging and becoming more sensitive. The mistake a lot of women make is reaching for the same harsh, drying treatments they might have used when they were younger. But mature skin can't handle that level of aggression. You end up with irritated, inflamed skin that's both broken out and overly dry. Not exactly the look we're going for. Dermatologists recommend a gentler approach. Think mild salicylic acid instead of benzoyl peroxide. Hydrating ingredients alongside acne-fighting ones, and being really careful about over-cleansing or using too many active ingredients at once. What's also interesting is that hormonal treatments like HRT can sometimes help with menopause acne by restoring some hormonal balance. But obviously that's a conversation to have with your doctor, not a decision to make based on skincare concerns alone. The other thing that struck me about this is how it's another example of menopause symptoms that women just aren't prepared for. You expect hot flashes, maybe some mood changes, but acne in your 50s, that one can really throw you. I think there's something to be said for adjusting our expectations and our routines as our bodies change. The skincare routine that worked at 35 might need tweaking at 45 or 55. Same with exercise, nutrition, sleep habits. Everything evolves. And honestly, there's something liberating about that once you embrace it. Instead of fighting to keep everything exactly the same, you get to experiment and find what works for this version of yourself. All of this, whether it's the woman trying to delay menopause, the AI research showing us how complex this transition really is, or figuring out a new skincare routine, it's all part of the same thing. We're learning more about menopause, we're taking it more seriously, and we're refusing to just accept that this has to be a miserable experience we suffer through in silence. Thanks for spending the week with me exploring all of this stuff. If you're finding these conversations helpful, make sure you're subscribed to Hot Flasher on whatever platform you use so you don't miss any episodes. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday.
That's our week. Thanks for listening to Hot Flasher. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.